everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the Florence School District 1 Board of Trustees to order. I'm informed that the public notifications were duly provided and we're in order in that regard. This time I'd invite you to rise with the board for the moment of silence. The pledge will be led by Board Member McIver tonight.
Let's repeat the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call board members' attention to tonight's agenda and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those likewise. Thank you. At this time, I'll recognize Ms. Pam Little McDaniel for tonight's awards and recognitions.
Is an exclusive Florence One Schools initiative brought to our schools by the Farm at Florence One Schools. The Farm to School coordinator, Mr. Jeff Murray, works alongside industry professionals such as Clemson University, Clemson Cooperative Extension, MUSC Boeing Children's Wellness Center, Chartwells, and South Carolina SNAP Ed to implement this program. Harvest of the Month brings fresh South Carolina-grown produce and innovative recipes to our school cafeterias every month for students and staff to experience. For this work, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeff Murray, our Farm to School coordinator, has been awarded the USDA Healthy Meals Incentive Recognition for innovation in nutrition education by the Action for Healthy Kids and the U.S. Department of Education. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, Jeff Murray, Healthy Meals Incentive Award winner. Let's give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you, sir. Make sure you get your picture. See a little bald head in the back.
Next, benefit specialist, Ms. Prosser and Ms. Sanders, please come forward. Now, ladies and gentlemen, PIBA Partner Award is the Public Employee Benefit Authority Award. PIBA Partners is an awards program that honors employees that demonstrate a dedication to promoting a physically, emotionally, and financially healthier workplace. PIBA strives to recognize employers who are setting the bar for workplace well-being programs across our state. Florence One Schools is the public school winner of the PIBA Partners Award. This is the first time that Florence One Schools has received this award, which implements a holistic approach to wellness and works to continue to improve the benefits through innovative initiatives like the community volunteer policy and the wellness and dental leave policy just approved this year. Now, Florence One fosters a culture of holistic well-being by offering district-wide wellness events incentives for preventive health screenings, opportunities for community engagement, and complimentary healthy lunches. These initiatives are designed to support the physical, the emotional, and financial health of our employees, helping us to thrive at work, at home, and in the community. Now, working with our employees, ladies and gentlemen, in this area are two benefit specialists. They are, introducing them alphabetically, Renee Prosser. Raise your hand, Ms. Prosser. Renee Prosser. And Ms. Prosser serves employees whose last names begin with A through J. And also Ms. Kamara Sanders. Ms. Sanders works with employees whose last names begin with K through Z. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're proud that these benefit specialists have received this award on behalf of Florence One Schools, again, for implementing a holistic approach to wellness and receiving the PIBA Partner Award for Florence One Schools. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, Ms. Prosser and Ms. Sanders. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and again, congratulations to our recognees tonight. At this time, we'll move to the superintendent's report, and I will yield the floor to Dr. O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Forward in your packet, there are two items to discuss this evening. The first one, just to give you an annual update on the Hope Health Brockington Elementary School-Based Clinic. As you see in your packet, we have that clinic. It's open on Mondays from 8 to 4, staffed by a family nurse practitioner, a nurse, and a patient service representative. You can see they offer the primary care in the different areas, from health risks, primary medical care, vision screenings, and so forth. But just kind of want to give you some measurements. You can see over the years the number of non-students seen, like employees, future appointments, meaning this year that we'll talk about, almost 86 already scheduled for this year, number of well visits and nurse visits. As it says here, there are 219 parental consents received out of the enrollment last year of 345. That's about 63.5% return rate, which is pretty good. But not everyone chooses to use it, so it's not representative of everyone not wanting to use it. We've started off, as it says, with 86 appointments already for this school year, and you can see their plan for the upcoming school year. If you turn or scroll down on your page, you can see the number of unique patients, the types of visits that they receive, with well visits obviously being the largest amount. Few employees that actually take part in that as well. The last part of it is there's a separate dental component to this that we started in January of 2022. And you can see the number of dental visits has increased every year for our students. And this is a big part of the clinic. If you're not aware, dental health is probably just as important as your physical health and mental health, and it plays a big role. And our role in this is to try to have students have dental visits and get them they almost come like they're coming to a dentist's office. They have to sit in a waiting room, hopefully not long like we do. They go in for a cleaning, but they have what I sort of remember in my childhood as well as the old treasure chest that you get to look into. So we even have that for them when they come out. So just to try to build real long life sort of skills for our students. And you can see the number of consent forms. Dental's a little different. If they have already a prime dental, they don't need to use this, or we'd have to get them to switch. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get them who have never seen a dentist before, and you can see that there. And then the final page, you can see the breakdown of students versus seen, unseen, and then finally, never seen a dentist before, the number of students, how that has grown over the years as well. You know, when we took over Florence 4, one of the things that we recognized right away is that it was going to take a holistic approach to move it forward academically. And sort of this was one of the pronged approaches, besides the other things that we were doing to make this work. And you'll hear in October, but I can share some of these things with you, which I think this, you know, people say, how do you measure this? There's a lot of ways, as you see here, but academic improvement is what we want to see. Retention of staff. I mean, Brockington had almost 100% retention of staff, which is huge for our schools. But then this year, remember when we took over in 2022-23, Timmonsville had a 48.5% graduation rate. They had a 95% graduation rate this year. So you don't have to just be in Brockington to receive these services. Anyone that is a Timmonsville student can receive that. And what you also find out, and we're not allowed to say, so I'm going to try to dance around this to give you some things, but Brockington also had double-digit growth in both language arts and math. They were the highest growth in ELA, meaning they outperformed in growth of any elementary of our 14, and they were second in math. I mean, so we've come very far in this holistic approach of moving students from that. And I think, you know, we don't get a lot of credit for the takeover and how that was given to us, but I think we need to take credit for how we have improved the opportunities and the academic performance and the health of those students now that they're in. So it's, I think, a really good story, continues to get better, but I think this school-based clinic is just a good example of the multi-pronged approach of trying to help students in their endeavors academics. Anyone have any questions around that?
Yeah, I have. I saw something that kind of stood out to me. If you go back to the dental visits, that's on, I think, the second page.
Dental visits will be the third or fourth page.
Okay, spring, if you go back to the spring, okay, of 22, they were like about 20 plus visits. But then you go to the fall of 22, it was about 39, almost 40%. But now let's look at 23. In the spring, the visits were above 60%. And the fall, it was below 40%. If you go to 2024, it was a matter of fact, it had the same, almost same reading as 23. 24 was above 60%, and the fall was probably about 41%, and the spring. But what stood out to me, from 22, why is it that the visits are higher in the spring than they are in the fall? From 23, 24, and, well, 25, we don't have all the data for that, but did you notice that?
I would just say sometimes we don't get all the consent forms at the beginning of the year. And so we can't only schedule kids who have consent. So I'm assuming that has some portion of that. Yet by the springtime, we have all the consent forms, or we've been able to reach out to the parents that didn't. So that's why the spring would be a little higher.
Okay. The other question that I have basically is the improvement of those kids in Timmonsville. It's really amazing, the turnaround. And I know Dr. Bracy probably has a lot to be bragging on over there. But that really stands out to me. Those two things stood out to me in this demographic here. Just keep up the good work, Doc. It's great.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate Carl Humphreys and Hope Health. They've really bought into this, and they've really helped us make this a success story around everything.
Beautiful job.
And I'll just offer a brief comment. I appreciate the marking of the occasion to note the improvements, reflect a lot of hard work and intentional strategies. And I would simply close by saying that the Timmonsville students, they're us. Those are our students.
Yes.
There's no distinction. They're all Florence 1 students. We're doing right by all of them, period.
Yeah, and I'll go back to the graduation rate at 95, and there were 3 of those students were special needs students, so they didn't have a graduation requirement, they were certified. So like I always say, you never have a perfect 100% possibility in our schools with students that are not diploma track, so that's a difficult thing. So last year, we did actually have 100% for Timmonsville. And we just do the data by their address and their zip code, bless you. And that's sort of the way we could track them, because they come from all 3 high schools. So, good stuff. Just wanted to let the board know, appreciate their investment in this and how we continue to track it and what improvements we're making every year.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
All right, the second item was the enrollment. Just want to walk through just a few things and then what items are in your packet. There's quite a few that are there. So the first item is just a little bit of a summary. We had about 16,157 students as of August 7th. Obviously, after the 10-day drop, there'll be fewer students, but then we'll track that again on the 35th day. You can see by elementary schools, Briggs remains pretty stable as far as total unchanged students. You had several of our elementary schools that did go up in some growth. You had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them had growth. And then several had a decrease in growth. I will recognize there that Del May is on a decrease of growth. It went down from 1,038 to 1,032. I expect it'll be much higher, so take this with what it is. And again, I say August 7th is different than what may be November 7th. But they did see a decline from the thousands of students that are in Del May. Middle schools, 3 schools, Moore, Southside, and Williams, all saw pretty significant growth. Sneed was the only one that had a decreasing growth, and it was about 20-some odd students. But again, we expect all that to level out, but you can see our middle schools is probably, when I first came to Florence, that was one of the places that we lost most of our students, not coming to the public schools. It's great to see those numbers increase and continue to increase. And then all 3 high schools have seen growth, and all of them are up. South Florence at 1,639, Wilson at 1,319, up from 1,235 last year. So you see that. And then West Florence from 1824 is sitting at 1852. So those things, the only thing about Wilson and their growth is athletically they're a 4A, we're the largest of maybe the 4As, so we're in a 2-year cycle. So as we monitor that growth, that's something that they will. If you turn to the next page, I just wanted to share another chart with you. So if you see this chart, on the left-hand side are all of our schools. You can see on the bottom. And then going across, the first column, as you recall, we had a demographer come in and do a demographic study. And again, that was a 10-year forecast, and that was projections. That was based on formulas and growth. So that first column, we said that we would monitor the demography study with our actual growth. So that's what we're going to start to do. So that first column is the demographer's growth. The second column is where we are, what I just discussed on 8-7. And then going from left to right starts at 3K to 12 and kind of gives you an idea by school where the number of students are by each school. And then as you scroll through, what we did for that as well is I gave you a chart for each individual school. So if you see Briggs, which happens to be the first one, you can see what our actual enrollment was from 2019-20 up to last year where we are on that, what we predicted 25, 26 to be. The green column is where we actually were, and then 26, 27, all the way to 23, 34 is what the demographer sort of predicted. So you could see by school, by grade, as we monitor increases in growth and how we do. And that's what we'll do year after year. We'll do it again in the 45th day and then the 135 day to kind of just monitor where it is. And at the conclusion of the year, we'll do the same thing. So we'll keep track. And so when people ask, you know, how are we deciding different things? We're trying to track where our demographer said we were and where we are. And as you can see, the demographer predicted overall for the district 15,593. On 8/7, we were at 16,157. That's a plus 564. So we'll lose some, but as we go along, this is how we're monitoring growth in different areas, different grades, in different schools. Questions?
No question, a comment. Excuse me. Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Looking at the growth at Moore, what is the capacity? I forgot what the capacity for Moore when it was built.
You know, I don't know the answer to that question. I think most middle schools are built for about 1,200. That's kind of what Southside is. I believe that is what Williams, the current Williams, is at, because they were sort of sister schools, same design, similar. But I'm pretty sure I can be around 1,200 was the capacity of the design.
And another thing, our district, I know compared to our nation and different situations, we allow people to opt out of vaccines for children into our schools. We're not, those who are religious exemptions, we still allow that at our district.
I wasn't worried about that as an enrollment question, but.
Well, as those who are enrolling at the beginning of the year, a lot of them are realizing, especially with the information coming out with no liability for big pharma, a lot of people are choosing not to do vaccines because you can't sue them if something bad happens to your children. So as that issue is facing our nation, I like to make sure people know that we don't want them to have to feel like they're obligated to maybe cause their children harm with some of these stuff that's in the vaccines that we're finding out now as we're getting more scientific truth about it.
I wouldn't want to guess on that answer, so
Right.
if you can, I will get you that answer
Sure.
and report back to you.
Sure,
and the
thanks.
whole board for that question, but I just would rather not speculate. I'm sure if Ms. Hallsback is watching now, she's going to be texting me soon. I may have the answer shortly, but I don't want to speculate.
Well, my daughter's in California, and she doesn't do any of the vaccines, and so she's done the research and all that kind of thing. So when I was a kid, we had 8 or 9. Now, 73 or so. It's really been horrifically to see a disaster that we've seen around our nation.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
In looking at the middle schools, I was wondering why, or what do we contribute the fact to that Sneed Middle School is so much smaller than our others? What's happening there? Because they seem to go down.
Yeah, so if you recall, our middle schools are where you go for elementary. So Sneed gets Royal, Briggs, and Savannah Grove. So it's just those students that that are zoned there to go there. And then more is, those schools, Del May and so forth that are in that area. So it was designed so those kids all go together. So it's necessarily where they live and do they choose to go to the public school there. Before we built Southside, it wasn't at that capacity, and now you see Southside and more people are choosing the arts. I think that's the other thing. All of our middle schools have some sort of specialty like our high schools, and so some kids are going towards that STEM program or the arts or the IB program, so you have that mix of students as well. That's why it's hard, because we offer so many different options in our schools that it's hard. And if you recall that demography study, one of the things they did was those students that live in that school zone but don't go to that school, And that was one of the things in the demography study. And it was kind of very interesting, that stuck out. I mean, one of the schools that everybody typically, if you're zoned for Royal, that you're going there. And it's amazing how they go to different schools, even though they might be zoned there. But I remember reading that and discussing that. So to answer your question, there's a lot of variables that can make it, but our elementary schools go as a whole to our middle schools. If there are no other questions, then I think that would conclude my report.
Yes. Trying to check the numbers, but I don't need to do that right now. And answer that question. Well, thank you. That's certainly good and timely information. Thank you. And also, I certainly appreciate your tracking the demographic study. It's good to use the tool so it's not just one and done. I think that's good. I appreciate the monitoring. With that, I would note that this would be the time in the meeting for public participation. I have not had any cards handed to me, Ms. Little McDaniel, so I appreciate your having made them available. With that, I will move to, tonight's action items. As has become customary with us, if there are no objections for standard action items, that being number one, the financial statements reports, number two, the minutes from last month, 7/10/25 regular minutes, and then number three, approval of the personnel sheets. Again, if there's an objection, you want to pull one of those, fine. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve all three of those action items at this time. Okay, so there's no objections, been moved and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. With reference to the field trips, number four, I could have included that, probably should have. There are 4 requests before you, fully explained as required by policy. Unless there's any questions with regard to those, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
All right, moved and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Thank you. Item number 5 is the board visits for this school year. And just by a brief explanation, pursuant to state law, the board as an entity, is to visit all of the facilities, school facilities during the course of the ensuing school year. So it's this time of year to go ahead and get that scheduled out for us. Customarily, and I appreciate it, Board Member Calder has reminded Superintendent's office to get that scheduled. You have that in your packet. It covers all of the facilities except Pointer, but we'll be there for a ribbon cutting soon, and that'll count. Isn't quite open yet. So, Ms. Calder, if you have any comments in regard there too, I'll invite you to comment.
The board visits are scheduled for Tuesdays of this year. Seems like every year we try a different date to try to satisfy, each of you because of your jobs and all. You're not available to go with us. But this time we're trying Tuesday to see if that will work. So I would encourage you to go ahead and put some of these on your calendar, and especially the ones that are in the areas that you represent. And please try to join us. We see so much, we learn so much. We get to see the programs and all that we've been a part of by approving here. And it's just a wonderful way to celebrate our schools, to show our principals, that we're very interested in what they're doing. And our kids love to see us too. So please, if you just go ahead and take a look at your calendar and try to schedule a few of those, that would really be good for us.
It is a good opportunity, and as much as schedules permit, you learn a lot on those front lines, and certainly an appreciation for what our employees and students and parents go through in a day, and the perspective truly of what it takes to run a large public institution like this that's personnel intensive and serves the public. I've said before, it's about 10,000 decisions a day to make all this stuff work, and to get on the front line and see how it comes to fruition is a good thing. So thank you, Ms. Calder. I would entertain, unless I already have, I can't remember now, did I entertain a motion to approve? All right, second? Second. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those likewise. Thank you. This time we'll move to action item 6. That's the Pointer School furniture contract matter. I'll recognize Dr. O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. In your packet, as we near the completion, hopefully by the end of October, first week of November, the Pointer School, that construction will be completed, and we'll be opening a new school, which we're excited about. Part of that is to have some furniture in that facility. In your packet, there are 3 companies that we will be using for that furniture. They'll all are under state contract. 2 of them, Pinnacle Network Solutions and New Idea, were under the 150 board policy, so we don't need to approve those, and they were state contract. But Wilcox Office Works, that one is $184,884.33, so that would need board approval in order to move forward on that. Total is about $433,000 for the furniture for the outfit of that. And this is just maybe the classroom furniture and things like that. McLeod is going to make is continuing to be the biggest investment in there, and they'll have their own investment that we'll share with you shortly. But this is just to start off for the classrooms, the offices, and things like that.
All right, you've heard the explanation. I'll entertain a motion then to approve.
So moved.
Okay, question, yes, sir.
On the contract with Wilcox, are we nonprofit? Do we get taxed?
We're not a nonprofit, we don't pay tax as a
Entity.
public entity.
But on furniture, we do.
Sales
We shouldn't pay sales tax, but I think we do pay sales tax.
I just
think that-
thought
I think that was-
$13,000 is $13,000.
So I think that when I first got here, that was one of the things I brought to our legislators' attention, like, why do schools pay sales tax? I've never had that before, but we do on, and the significant amount of money, computers, it's like $3 million, we pay sales tax on that, so, unless, I guess, maybe we buy it on that tax-free weekend, we do pay sales tax, in the state of South Carolina.
Well, $14,000 is $14,000. I just asked, so.
Yeah, but but it's a great question, because you think about when we buy computers, and that's a $3 million contract. I don't know the exemptions to the law. I just know that we pay.
Our legal team's here.
Am I correct?
The smartest lawyer, that's the smartest lawyer statement we heard.
So, but yes, we pay that tax, and hey, that's something, if you want to write a letter to your local representative, that's something I would encourage.
But I also like your idea of the tax-free weekend. Maybe we need to peg our purchases too.
Yeah, for that first
Weekend in
week
August,
in
yeah.
August.
Although I don't know that these materials would qualify.
I think, yeah.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, the motion's on the floor and been seconded. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Thank you. And then our final action item for tonight, at number 7, is the Florence City County Memorial Stadium Commission appointment. I'll recognize Dr. O'Malley.
So in your packet is the commission for that Florence City County Memorial Stadium, which was set up a long time ago, we'll say. We have moved out of that contract. That is no longer our facility. It's a county facility. But as you can see, we still have 2 seats that the board can appoint. And a lot of conversations now are around what to do with that facility, and this commission makes some of those decisions. We've had a vacant seat on that commission for all I know, at least as long as I've been here. So what I'm asking this evening is the board to appoint me to this commission, so I could be part of that and part of the discussion about how that area can be utilized and used for good use. You can see the members on there and a lot of people that are involved in the athletics or any kind of participation in enhancing that property. So that is the recommendation that I'm making.
All right, with that explanation, you can see the listing. There are 8 commission members, a vacancy that apparently has been there for some time. Superintendent has requested appointment to that vacant seat, so I'll entertain a motion to moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Appreciate your willingness to serve. Call for the vote. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. All right, you got you another job. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was probably as exciting the day when I get to hold the gavel for about 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, that would be the final of the action items. We do have need for an executive session tonight. We have a student appeal matter. This would be discussed by the board in executive session by the board. The board would invite, if at all, those deemed necessary as part of that discussion. No action will be taken in executive session. Any action to be taken as a result of those discussions would be done so when we return to open session. I'll entertain a motion then to go into executive session. Moved and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be at recess in the public portion of the meeting. We're going to retire to the conference room, and we'll return when we complete those discussions. Thank you. Order. The board has been in executive session to discuss the appeal matter that was announced. Discussions took place, no action was taken. I'll entertain a motion to come back into open session. Moved and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. So the matter before the board concerned a student appeal. In its meeting last month, the board, coming out of executive session, had denied an appeal from this student with the proviso that an invitation for resubmission would be entertained by the board on or after December the 7th, 2025, based on the information the board had before it at that time, which essentially was no information pursuant to policy. The policy allows a petition for readmission on an initial denial if reasons are specified as to why that should be allowed. It also allows, in the board's discretion, an appearance by the student before the board. So the issue before the board then tonight was to decide first whether the board wished to reconsider the action taken last month based on the submission of new information, additional information that was not available to the board at that time. So if there would be such a first motion, it would be for reconsideration of the board of the action taken in July. I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
I so move.
Is there a second? All right. So moved and seconded. If that's approved, then a motion in relation to the request for resubmission would be the second motion, but that's not part of this first motion. This first motion is simply to allow a reconsideration. The vote last month was unanimous, so any board member in attendance last month could have made the motion and second for reconsideration. So that's proper. I'll call for the vote. Those in favor of reconsideration, please say aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Okay, so the matter is back on the floor, and based on discussions in executive session in relation to the student, I would put on the floor this motion, and I can provide to the scribe over there written information later because it's a lot of verbiage. But the board would allow the student the opportunity to enroll in the alternative program as is set forth hereafter on a probationary basis subject to these terms and conditions. So for the school year 25-26, probationary status for the duration of the school year as follows on probation. 1, student must enroll in the Return to Learn program and meet all requirements of Phase 1 and 2 prior to returning to the home school for probation for the duration of the school year. The Return to Learn would be inclusive of all requirements in relation thereto, which includes individual and family counseling, community service, as well as the academic and attendance requirements, and that's all part of the standard program. 2, as part of Return to Learn, individual counseling and wellspring sessions be met, no unexcused absences from scheduled counseling sessions, and those counseling sessions would be as per the Return to Learn program. 3, student to maintain a score of 60 or above in all enrolled courses while on probation. 4, student may not have more than 5 unexcused absences while on probation. 6, student may not have any incident resulting in an out-of-school suspension. Next, student is subject to random searches of his belongings at any time. Next, student is not to be engaged in any activity inclusive of social media which portrays violent or threatening behaviors. And then finally, any violation of the conditions of the probationary enrollment may result in an immediate administrative hearing and a consideration of an expulsion at that time. I so move. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those likewise. Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.